Hello everyone, I'm Shenyuan Hu. I'm the founder of Joint Commonwealth Fund or JCF. So in this episode of JCF Weekly, or what's Bitcoin got to do with me series, we're going to talk about how blockchain can actually help charity. Okay, so to start off, we have to give a background about how charity has been worked in for centuries. Essentially, charities exist, or these social organizations exist, because there are some social issues or people of specific groups that might need help. Like for example, Red Cross, it helps people who are with in disaster, natural disaster or war, affected by wars and that need medical attention, emergency medical attention. And there are other famous charities in the world, like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, that they are tackling to eradicate diseases for several countries, through simple but effective measures. So there are various charities that operate in the world, and usually there are some specific target that they are trying to help or to provide service for. Now, one of the fundamental issues faced by any charity is funding. Okay, so currently charity has mainly two sources of funding. Mostly, one is through donation, the other is through possibly some grant application from maybe governments or other larger charity organizations. Like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they give out grants to other smaller charities for them to execute certain efforts. Now, one of the questions faced by our charity and also by the donor is where does the money actually go, and whether the charity is really using the money effectively. Now, this problem, this issue, one of trust and transparency, actually has been difficult, because usually charities, especially the smaller ones, they are usually pretty lacking in terms of their human resource. So, they could be already quite busy in terms of, helping the people in need. And to add other administrative tasks and efforts on top of them, this usually creates a burden, or at least it will take time and effort and money away from the resource that can potentially be actually helpful for the end recipient. So this issue of charity always, when we look at charities and when people are trying to evaluate them, they might look at whether they're trustworthy and whether they are efficient and effective in their resource uses. Now, so how can blockchain, this new technology, help? Now, for those who may not know blockchain well, this is a very brief primer, which is blockchain is the technology behind cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. But what it really does, blockchain, when it applies to finance, it could be cryptocurrency. But blockchain itself is a technology that can be used elsewhere and with many other applications. Essentially, what a blockchain is just a distributed and open, transparent, checkbook or ledger, as they call it. So what it does is it records transactions from A to B. Okay, let's say I give you some amount of money. That's a transaction, and it can be recorded on blockchain. And once it's recorded there, it's there forever. One characteristic of blockchain is that you cannot modify, it's immutable. You cannot modify the records, the transaction records that's already on the blockchain. So the benefit of this, of course, is that you can record all kinds of transactions in a very immutable, you cannot dispute, and also very transparent way. Okay, once you use blockchain as your recording, for your bookkeeping. So how can all these, so for example, if the money that's being given to a charity organization, it's being recorded on blockchain, and where it goes in terms of whether it's going to the administrator effort or whether it's going to some kind of recipient of donation or people in need of help, that can be very transparent if it's recorded on blockchain. Now you may ask, so how can we do this? Well, if you use cryptocurrency as the means of donation and for receiving donation, then everything is automatically recorded on blockchain. Okay, so that's one potential benefit of not just using blockchain to record, but also adopting some form of cryptocurrency for the purpose of donation and of receiving donation. Now, that might sound good in theory, but what happens in the real world? Are there examples for that? Okay, so the example I like to share is one from Binance Charity. There's a recent interview, with Binance Charity's head, Helen. Okay, so she actually had been working for United Nations for humanitarian, missions, and she was recruited by Binance to head up their charity effort. So what they're doing is they accept cryptocurrency, in Bitcoins, Ethereum, or Binance own coin. So Binance, to give you a background, it's currently the largest crypto exchange in the world out there. And so you can buy and sell various kind of cryptocurrencies on the exchange. And it also releases its own cryptocurrency called, BNB, the Binance token. So they use BNB to be also to, you can provide donation in BNB as well to Binance Charity. Now, how do we actually help the people in need? So what happened is, and their story is, one of the very encouraging one, which is because they are pretty serious about this, the founder of Binance, CZ, went with Helen to Uganda, which is, the African country. And they actually spent some time there for a few months to understand what's the local need really is about, the Uganda people. And they also talked with the president of the country. The president is an old man of about, over 70 years of age. And although he's pretty wise, he's also not that familiar with all the technology. But once he hear and understand about what cryptocurrencies are and its potential usage in terms of helping people, in terms of, financial support, charity effort, he immediately responded that, yes, what they want, they would like to be on the forerunner, the pioneer of crypto donation or crypto charity, this space. So with their support, Binance was able to, work with the local organizations and some volunteers to pretty much set up accounts, or rather what's called crypto wallets. So crypto wallets are basically, it's an address which you can receive cryptocurrencies and store them for. And for each person, you have to have your own wallet. It's kind of like a bank account. And in Uganda, their challenges is even greater because for many people there, they not only don't have access to computers, mobile phones, they might not even have, like bank accounts, okay? So what they also need to do is to ensure the identities are tied one-to-one from a real person to a wallet. So they recruited local volunteers' effort and help in this in terms of setting up wallets for every individual, but also to perform what's called KYC, or Know Your Customer, which is the verification of the true identity of a person link that to an account. So once they have done this, it becomes very easy and transparent from donation, crypto donation into individual wallets or accounts of the people in need of help. And all this can be done in a very forward, transparent, and also very low-cost way. So one of the benefits of having crypto donation, besides transparency, is also low cost, because everything that can be done pretty much can be done through an automatic mechanism that's already there in place. So there's no bookkeeping effort, there's no need to check and verify these account books. all the transaction, all the transfer are public, everyone can verify that. And also Binance Charity has set up in such a way that they don't charge any fees for this. So essentially all the crypto donation goes to the recipient. Now that's a really big accomplishment because usually organizations has to take a certain amount of percentage to cover their administrative or their personnel costs. But because everything that works on a blockchain is existing infrastructure, and also, Binance, of course, it provides probably the main personnel funding for the people working there. So essentially, all the donation goes directly to the recipient in Binance Charity's example. Okay, so that's basically a way to that you know about how Binance Charity works, and that's a case example of blockchain technology can actually help social organizations and charity. All right, so that's it for this week. And if you like our content, please go to our YouTube channel to subscribe or to like us on Facebook so that you can keep updated of our recent new contents. And Joint Commonwealth Fund, or JCF, is basically a crypto index fund, and our aim is to realize universal basic income. So if you're interested to learn more, please also go visit our official website at jcf.world. Okay, so thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.